About 2008, we started upon some family research that the association sponsored. We had been paying dues and had a fairly large reservoir dedicated to family research, and nobody had initiated anything. So we initiated a program in 2008 to do family research. And there were three areas that were really of concern for us, because if you look at Anson Bowen Call's family tree, it extended beyond Joseph Call, it extended beyond Mariette Sanderson, it did not extend beyond Christopher Tiffany. It did extend beyond Rebecca Ellis, did not extend beyond Nathaniel Bowen, did not extend beyond Esther Sykes, extended beyond Alan Durham and Caroline Hulda Wood. So we decided to embark upon a project to try to break the brick walls that had stopped us for Christopher Tiffany, Nathaniel Bowen, and Esther Sykes. We hired a professional genealogist, and he did a fair amount of work for us. He was able to extend Esther Sykes back 5 more generations to the first Sykes that came to the United States. That was Richard Sykes. Christopher Tiffany was reputed to have been a Hessian soldier who fought for the British Army during the Revolutionary War and was either abandoned or was captured by the Americans up in northern Vermont as Burgoyne led his army to try to cut the United States in half and win the war for Britain. Nathaniel Bowen lived also in upper Vermont with his wife, Esther Sykes. We know that he lived there because we have the records of the birth of some of his children. And we were not able to extend Nathaniel Bowen very far, and we were not able to extend Christopher Tiffany because of the difficulty. I have a recommendation that we go forward, that we reinstitute dues and start paying them, and that they primarily have 2 purposes. I have no objection to other purposes. One is to take care of the expenses of the family association, and the other is to build a fund so that we can do some research or hire some research done by people who know what they're doing. The other thing is that we post the research reports that we paid. I think we paid over $5,000 for them on the site so that everybody in the family association can see them. In preparing for this discussion, I checked on Family Search, and Esther Sykes is great. People recognize what we put up there and have left it there because it was well documented. There are still fights going on about who the parents are for Christopher Tiffany, where he came from and what he did. And there are also fights similarly about Nathaniel Bowen. And by the way, they're rehashing a lot of the same material that we've covered in research and disproven. So a lot of people are discussing it a fair amount and churning up a lot of dirt and dust, but not getting very far. That's the reason I think the research reports should be posted on our site and reference to them made so people can have the benefit of them. The other thing is, there were some recommendations that Clifford Stott, who was the researcher, had that we should do in the future, and we should follow those and try to get them pursued. Number one, there is some notary public. Nathaniel Bowen lived in northern Vermont, right on the Canadian border. And we looked at a lot of records in Canada and a lot of records in Vermont. And the professional researcher decided that he probably came from Connecticut. It's generally believed that there were 2 Bowen families that came to the United States in the early years of the United States while they were colonies. And one of those families came to Connecticut. And there is some evidence that says that Nathaniel may have been a member of that family. We could consider doing a DNA project. In 2008, that was just the beginning of DNA. Today, DNA research has made a lot of progress. And I think if those of us who has had our DNA taken and analyzed would submit it to the Family Association, and if others would get themselves DNA tested, we could have a professional researcher look at what our DNA tells us about Nathaniel Bowen, whether he did come from the Bowens that came to Connecticut, or whether he was part of the other Bowens who came to Massachusetts, or whether there's a third group of Bowens. And we could surely find out something about Christopher Tiffany, who almost certainly was a soldier in the in Burgoyne's army, and was either deserted or was taken captive and married Rebecca Ellis in Bennington, Vermont. And I think that just so you get some idea, that research, I recommend we hire legacy tree genealogists. They have expertise in both conventional and DNA investigative genealogy. I think our scope for them would be to review the previous reports we've done and make recommendations. On their staff is a gentleman by the name of Robert M. Call. He is a descendant of Omer Call, and he recently published an article in the New England Historic and Genealogical Society that put to bed Samuel Call and where he died, and the fact that his wife had 2 other husbands after Samuel. And it's a very good article. I recommend it highly to you. If you want a reference and can't find it on American Ancestors, I'd be happy to give it to you. And also on their staff is Kelly Bergheim, who spoke at the Rootstech conference, which was a week ago, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And she seemed to be quite knowledgeable about DNA investigative genealogy. And I think we should authorize a study of $50 to $100. That would cost somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000. Maybe we could, as a result of trying to go forward, negotiate a special price for those who want to have their DNA analyzed to contribute to the study. And that's really all I have to say. So I will unshare the screen and say thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ara. Any comments or thoughts about going forward with this kind of effort to find these 2 lines?
You know, I didn't even realize that that our genealogy wasn't. You get on Family Search and you look, and it looks like the Bowen line goes all the way back, and I didn't realize until I talked to Ara that we're looking for a Nathaniel Bowen, but it isn't the one that's on Family Search. So, I think
Nathaniel Bowen is the right one. His parents are just wrong.
The parents, yeah. But on Family Search, you get the impression that that's what it is, and they just don't have the research to back it up. So
if you look at that, Francis, over the last since 2008, people on Family Search have been fighting about who his parents were. If you look at it today, it'll give you one set of parents. If you look at it a month from now, it'll give you another. And if you look at it a month later than that, it'll give you another one. And it's just been a continual churning. And I don't believe any of the ones that are being proposed are correct.
Well, I would certainly like to see us be able to have the research done. And I think it's a great, the brethren have asked us to work in our family lines and to work with our family history. And I think this would be a wonderful thing for our family to participate in.
I think that DNA testing is key.
I believe it holds the key to the answer to the questions. And it's only been the last year or two that it has been the key. When it started, it had promise, but they developed it well enough now that I think it has real promise.
And I think a lot of us have already been tested, including Uncle Eran.
Yes, and I think we should take those.
Got his DNA before he passed away, and so I think DNA is the way to go.
And I think those DNA tests would all be shared with the researcher, and they would be very, very helpful. Very likely would like to have some additional DNA tests, because the more DNA tests you have, you have a better chance of predicting what the ancestors' DNA was. Thus, you can find other descendants of that same line.
Right.
Erin had his DNA taken and posted on Ancestry, and I've had mine. How can we gather our family together as to those who have had DNA testing to present to? I mean, I don't know how that works in families
Well, I have mine done by Ancestry and posted on I'm getting to the stage where I can't remember on another one of the sites. You can post them usually share them on many sites. My trouble is I don't quite understand the technology well enough to do it properly. I think we need to hire somebody, or if somebody in the group understands DNA well enough to do it. I have no desire to spend money to do it, but I think it takes somebody who really knows their stuff. The genetic DNA investigation today has been used to convict criminals of crimes. So it can be quite substantive, much more substantive than, I think there are a lot of Bowens living in this area. One of them's got to be related to us, which is pure conjecture and often correct and often wrong.
Well, and I would say that the DNA genealogist is a specialty. I understand DNA and know something about it, but with every year, every month, there is more and more individuals added to databases, and as that database grows, you have more and more possibilities of finding the real truth. So, okay.